Disclosure Day is directed by Steven Spielberg, one of the most influential filmmakers in cinema history. Inspired by the enduring belief that governments conceal far more from their citizens than they care to admit, none arguably more captivating than the possibility of extraterrestrial life, the film follows a meteorologist and a cybersecurity expert who become central figures in a growing movement to uncover decades of hidden truths. At its core, Disclosure Day is Spielberg's attempt to tackle humanity's place in a universe that may already be inhabited by intelligent life. It's a fascinating concept, one that naturally invites philosophical questions about religion, science, and our own understanding of humanity. Unfortunately, while the film raises these questions, it rarely explores them in a way that feels fresh or particularly satisfying. In many ways, it feels a bit outdated, and I don't mean that in a way to slight Spielberg directly. I admit that I particularly enjoy most of his films. This is just one of them that I didn't personally connect with for a variety of reasons. What struck me most was how oddly constrained and outdated the story feels. In an age where artificial intelligence, advanced military technology, misinformation campaigns, and digital manipulation have become everyday realities, there are countless realities that the film just largely ignores. Take what's possible this year in 2026, for instance. Some of us are already struggling to distinguish truth from fiction. Artificial intelligence can generate convincing videos, voices, entire deepfakes at the click of a button. The likeness of people can be used to generate headlines or put people in acts you wouldn't otherwise see them partaking in. Yet Disclosure Day largely ignores this reality. If a government or its citizens attempted to disclose the existence of extraterrestrial life today, the challenge wouldn't simply be convincing people that aliens exist. The challenge would be convincing them that the evidence itself is authentic. The film presents disclosure as though society still operates under a shared understanding of truth, when in reality, trust in institutions, the media, and even visual evidence has eroded significantly. That omission makes much of the film feel oddly detached from the modern world. But even if you're willing to look past all of those shortcomings, the motivations of the film's central characters feel far less compelling than they might have a decade or so ago. Much of the story builds toward a climatic revelation, yet when it finally arrives, I found myself questioning the logic behind it rather than becoming invested in it. I understand that some films intentionally leave audiences with unanswered questions. The problem is that Disclosure Day doesn't just leave its plot holes unresolved, it leaves its central characters unresolved as well. Certain motivations remain vague, their goals feel underdeveloped, and their decisions don't pay off in a satisfying way. Mysteries can indeed be compelling, but when the characters become mysteries too, it becomes difficult to form an emotional connection. By the time the credits rolled, I wasn't left contemplating the film's bigger questions. I was instead still trying to understand the beings at the center of them and the grand plan behind Disclosure Day itself. But despite my many issues with the film, I did find myself drawn to some of its thematic ambitions. One question the film continues to return to is whether humanity could truly accept the existence of intelligent life beyond Earth. More importantly, could we live with that knowledge? Personally, I tend to side with the notion that if intelligent life does exist beyond our own understanding, then we are already living with that reality, whether we know it or not. Disclosure wouldn't suddenly create a new world, it would simply change our awareness of the one we already inhabit. The challenge then isn't learning to live alongside extraterrestrial life, but coming to terms with the possibility that we were never alone in the first place. And I think the film's most interesting observation is humanity's tendency and how often we as a society tend to approach the unknown with suspicion rather than empathy. We study it, we categorize it, we attempt to define it in our own understanding of how the world works. There's an intriguing idea buried within the film about our need to control what we don't understand and how our lack of empathy may be our own downfall. Yet, those remain frustratingly underdeveloped, hidden beneath a story that promises profound revelations, but struggles to articulate what it is trying to actually say about them. And this is also where the film feels limited. For a story centered on an event that would fundamentally alter our perspective of humanity's place in the galaxy, the perspective remains narrow in scope. The film would have benefited greatly from showing how other nations, cultures, governments might react to such revelations. Different countries would inevitably have their own histories, cover-ups, beliefs, and interpretations of extraterrestrial contact. Expanding the scope beyond the US could have made the story feel truly global while elevating the stakes considerably. While I thought the acting was great, ultimately Disclosure Day is a film with ambitious ideas, but a somewhat narrow execution. Spielberg delivers a thoughtful examination of secrecy, belief, and humanity's relationship with the unknown, but the film never fully embraces the larger questions it raises. While I didn't particularly enjoy it as a whole, I found enough in its themes to keep me engaged, even if I was left wishing it had aimed a bit higher and produced a conclusion worthy of conversation for years to come in the hopes that one day we too could soon have a Disclosure Day of our own. As always, thanks for watching. Let me know what you liked or disliked about Disclosure Day in the comments below. Until next time, this has been Film Sense with Brian, and I'll catch you around on the next video.